Seymour is Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, tonight at 9 on ATV.
But I'm telling you, unless we get real and start to look at the reality of the situation and stop smiling about it, we're all going to be screwed.
Tonight, the federal government starts to get the message about UI changes.
His lip was cut, his lip was cut down here, and he lumped on his head, and his an eye was black, and it was bruised, quite a bit of bruises on him.
A family criticizes the police investigation of a suspicious death.
You can come down here and sit down at one of our computers and surf the net for half an hour and just get a feel for it.
And Maritimers are surfing the net, a user-friendly approach to cyberspace.
Now, from the #1 news team in Atlantic, Canada, the ATV Evening News.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Janice Landry. Jonathan Gravener has this weekend off. Well, it looks like the federal government is finally getting the message from Maritimers that proposed changes to the UI system are flawed. This week, there's been several heated meetings about the UI system where emotions have boiled over. There was yet another information session today, and ATV's Laverne Stewart was there. Laverne.
Janice, it looks like the vocal and sometimes violent demonstrations that have been happening across New Brunswick are having an effect. Today, Fredericton MP Andy Scott admitted they're having an effect and says that more concessions could be possible.
You can't answer a simple question. I ask you, what are you doing here?
Demonstrations like this one are getting the attention of the federal government. Human Resources Minister Lloyd Axworthy has told a committee studying the employment insurance bill to look at those areas that will penalize people unjustly.
They're going to deal with the gap. It's going to be taken out of the equation so that the kinds of figures that have been quoted in terms of the impacts on benefits will not be the kinds of numbers that we've seen, because that gap problem is going to be addressed. And the minister asked the committee to, in fact, put proposals as to how that might be fixed forward, and I've already submitted 4.
It's not a pleasant topic, and it's not fun, but there is $1.9 billion that has to come out. That's what the legislation has indicated.
This federal civil servant spent 3 hours today explaining the proposed EI system to a group of roughly 60 at this public information session in Fredericton today. The meeting didn't get violent, but labor and social interest groups waited for a chance to give Scott an earful.
It stinks. It stinks and it smells bad, Andy. The only people I see profiting by this are the corporations. You know, we got to stop giving to them. We got to think about the people this is affecting.
We're being screwed really bad. The more details you know, the more you know you're being screwed. Let's get basic. They're taking $1.9 billion out. There's more food banks in Fredericton than there's ever been before.
I agree with many of the concerns that have been expressed, and I think a lot of the people that are here know that.
What these people and others want is a guarantee from the region's MPs that they will fight against parts of this EI bill that will have what they believe will be a disastrous effect on an already desperate situation in this region.
And Janice, Scott says he'll be going back to Ottawa next week and be putting a lot of these concerns forward to his counterparts, and hopefully more concessions will be possible.
Laverne, are even more demonstrations like the ones that we've seen this past week likely?
Yes, I've heard that there are several planned, including one here in Fredericton. A social interest group used today's meeting to invite people to a demonstration they say that they're calling Stop the Cuts, and they've planned it for Tuesday at 7 p.m. here in Fredericton.
Of course, we'll cover that for you. Thank you very much, Laverne.
Okay.
In other news this weekend, relatives of a Sydney area man whose death is now being treated as manslaughter are critical of how police handled that case. In an exclusive interview with ATV's Randy McDonald, the family says it was obvious the victim had been beaten.
Gerald, yes, he definitely loved life. And Gerald was always busy. He had his kids and all that.
By all accounts, Gerald Doyle was a good father and an avid outdoorsman. But Doyle's 48 years of life came to a sudden end on a June night in 1992. His bruised body was found on this property outside a home which has since burned and been rebuilt. At the time, police were told by witnesses